A few days ago, a Tory Conservative MP called Nick Fletcher stood up in front of some people in a meeting somewhere. It wasn't in Parliament, though, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen him do this speech in Parliament. You could imagine what all the feminists, how they would have reacted. Then again, there's no such thing as feminism anymore. I think it's toxic femininity. Feminism, everything to do with women's rights, etc., women's lib, it's all gone. It's been taken over by the trans Nazis who are trying to completely get rid of womanhood, matriarchy, feminism, anything to do with biological womanhood. It's going to be gone soon. It's going to be illegal to even say woman and be a woman, or you could have a sign around your neck, like the Welsh knot back in the 60s, even, where Welsh kids weren't allowed to speak Welsh, and whoever had the Welsh knot sign around their necks, by the end of play at school, they got the cane. So it'll be like that for women soon, because the trans Nazis don't like it and they want to take over. That's my opinion on that. But if he'd have done this speech in Parliament, you can imagine the likes of Fishwife Jess Phillips, who else? Angela Rayner, Tory scum, and all the rest of the stupid idiots who infest that place. The bigots, the anti-male, left-wing Marxist bigots there. Their reaction would have been hilarious and quite delicious to drink their tears. And he said that basically, that because Doctor Who is now a woman, boys, young men are growing up and committing crime. I think he's half right, though, because there's no male role models on TV in culture, popular culture anymore. Let's get this straight. If you commit a crime now, you're a dickhead. Not because you haven't got any role models. It's just because you don't know right from wrong. The only role models you should have are your parents, your mother, your father, both, if you're lucky to have both, or either or. It doesn't take really a genius to think and figure out that you can do something of yourself. We live in a free democratic society, a capitalist system, which isn't perfect, but you can, there's a ladder there for you to climb up and be who you want to be and establish right from wrong. And you don't have to be an arsehole to climb up the greasy pole just for yourself. You can help others. You don't need the Bible, you don't need religion to know what's right and wrong, to treat your fellow man, woman, whatever you identify with, as with respect. But he has a point in the fact that there are no male role models, and the ones that there are, they're slowly being taken over. I'll give you a few examples. He-Man. I grew up watching He-Man in the 80s. There was a moral story at the end. It wasn't really just focused on boys, because you had female characters called Teela, you got She-Ra. It was all done to sell toys, basically. There was no racism in it, there was no politics. It was just, he had a fight with Skeletor. He always won. Everyone mucked in. They all helped each other. There was no supremacy, and Skeletor always lost. And he was my favourite villain, by the way. He was funny as fuck. And there was a moral story at the end, and it was aimed at everyone. But He-Man was the main character. But now, some absolute tool in Hollywood called Kevin Smith, he admitted he wanted to do the new He-Man cartoon. It's called He-Man Revelations on Netflix. Don't watch it. If you're a fan of the original 80s He-Man, don't bother, because it's just political correct nonsense. He-Man has been reduced to a sidekick. It put poor Orko in hell for some reason, because Kevin Smith didn't like the character, and then he admitted that he never liked He-Man, the cartoon. So why the hell did he do it then? It's just PC nonsense. It's to appease these left-wing extremists who are infesting Hollywood. That's what it's about. So He-Man no longer saves the universe. He's reduced to a sidekick who does side jobs, and that's it, because he's a man. I'm not allowed that. He's a strong white male who figures things out and helps others, but that's not allowed anymore because it offends people. You got Doctor Who, who's now a woman. It's the worst Doctor Who ever, even worse than Colin Baker. I'm a huge Tom Baker fan. I've even got the scar, for fuck's sake. I've got all his DVDs. And even back in the day when Doctor Who was just male, none of the female companions he had were stupid, bumbling idiots. They were strong female characters. You had Sarah Jane Smith, an intelligent, smart, witty, headstrong, intrepid reporter. She wasn't reduced to some bumbling twat who had to be told what to do by Doctor Who all the time. Okay, she had to be rescued, but she wasn't reduced to something less. You got Luke Skywalker, Rian Johnson, the orange-headed feminist twat in Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy, they ruined Star Wars. If you've watched the sequels, the 3 sequels, the main character is a girl called Rey, who's a strong female, learns things like that, and gets things done and beats everyone, even though she's got no Jedi training or anything. She can handle a lightsaber, the Force, the lot. She's what you call a Mary Sue, someone who comes along and does everything perfectly with no backstory, and she's dull as dishwater. But what they've done to poor Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars films, he was the epitome of hope and just headstrong and positivity, and he just didn't give up. He turned his father, Darth Vader, from the dark side into a good guy, defeated the evil Emperor, Palpatine, the Empire, and everything was hunky-dory, tickety-boo. There were no weak female characters in Star Wars. You had Princess Leia, a strong female, but it was all reduced now. Look at Han Solo as another Star Wars character they fucked over. In the original films, he was a selfish crook who didn't give a shit about anyone else. It was just him and Chewbacca, his Wookiee mate, who committed crimes and dumped the cargo and the shipments, whatever, at the first sight of an Imperial Star Destroyer. And thanks to good writing and the non-existence of political correctness in Star Wars at that time, he turned from that into someone who gave a shit about his friends, cared for them, loved Leia, didn't treat her like shit, and a competent rebellion commander. And then in the sequels, thanks to woke Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, they reverted him back to that, but worse. He wasn't liked by anyone, and he was just a douchebag, a worse douchebag than when he started out, because they didn't like him. They destroyed Han Solo, they destroyed Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker, again, the epitome of hope, daring, positivity, get things done. I can do this. I'm a good man. I see the good in you, Darth Vader. All that. And they turned him into some hermit who drank sea monster, green milk out of sea monsters' tits on the beach, who didn't want to do anything with anyone, gave up on life, gave up on everyone and himself. I was just a miserable sod and got beaten by Rey in a lightsaber fight. Easy. Why? It's because he was a male. A positive male. It not to be white, just be a male. They don't like male role models. James Bond, they are desperate for James Bond to be female and black. Alright, away from the original source, from the books, they're desperate. Even Daniel Craig said, listen, it doesn't have to be a female James Bond. Why not give women something original for them to aspire to, rather than nicking stuff from a original male creation? They're desperate for James. It'll happen, folks. It'll happen. They'll destroy James Bond. I mean, if you look at him in the last film, I wasn't impressed with that, but they reduced him into, I don't know, a male version of Kamala Harris. Can I say that? No. Kamala Harris isn't brave. Kamala Harris is a douchebag. She's a horrendous bag of shit that nobody likes. Even worse than Joe Biden, imagine that. But you get what I'm saying, you get my point. James Bond isn't James Bond anymore. He was a hard-drinking, womanising, witty killer who did his job and whatever it took for his country. All right, he treated women like shit, but Ian Fleming, that was the way the character was written. He wasn't evil. He was a good man. He was a flawed man, but a hero. The Ghostbusters, another last example for you. 1984 version, a classic, perfect, well written. Strong females. Janine, the receptionist, she was a sarcastic cow, but she wasn't evil. They didn't reduce her to some stupid sidekick. And you had Dana, Bill Murray's, Peter Venkman's love interest. She was a strong female character. They saved her, but she wasn't an asshole. She wasn't. She was a strong woman who knew what she wanted, but she fell for Peter Venkman in the end, Bill Murray. And that's that. But the new Ghostbusters in 2016, they got rid of all that. They reduced their receptionist, the male, into a bungling, stupid, blonde, thick as mince man who is incompetent and not really useful. And that's what they're gearing up for now. If you look at the adverts on telly, all the males, if there's a couple on telly, the male would be a stupid bumbling twat who doesn't know his arse from his elbow, who needs telling what to do by his wife or his girlfriend to sell a product. And that's not fair. That really isn't fair. And quite frankly, I find that quite sexist. And the film was shit, the story was shite, and they took a swipe at the patriarchy, because that big ghost they shot at the end, they shot him in the bollocks. Imagine if that was 1984 and they cut Goza's tits off. It's exactly the same thing, and said, yay, go matriarch, go patriarchy. That's exactly the same thing now. And you got Batwoman. Batwoman. My God, I watched the first episode because I'm a Batman fan. I thought, I want to see where this is going. And Batman had disappeared somewhere, sulked off, as if Batman would do that. And Ruby Rose, is it her name, the actress, or the character, whoever? So she turns up at Wayne Manor, finds out Bruce Wayne, her cousin, is Batman, and then tells the guy who's looking after the Batcave and Wayne Manor, oh, it'll be better when the woman wears the suit. And it looks like someone had carved a fucking pumpkin on her head. It looked ridiculous, and she had fluid on the brain. It was stupid, absolutely stupid. But so I understand where Nick Fletcher, the Tory MP, is going with his lack of male role models, and male role models, traditional ones, being overtaken by some sort of aggressive, anti-male, toxic femininity, trans-Nazi agenda. It really is. It looks that way. That's my opinion anyway. And who knows what other beloved male character they're going to steal next, because they can't think of their own. Who knows? But that's the way it's going. Political correctness, bowing down to the trans-Nazi activists, the hysterical Twitter mob, and pretty soon there'll be no male heroes left or role models. On telly, in cinema, popular culture will be reduced to that secretary in Ghostbusters 2016 as some thick as mince bodybuilder who doesn't know his arse from his elbow. So he's half right there. But if you do go out and commit crime, you know, you can't stand in court and say, well, the reason I mugged that woman, my lad, is because Doctor Who's a woman, there's no male role models. You don't need same-sex role models on TV to know right from wrong. That's my point. But he's half right. He really is. And that's my opinion. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's pissing it outside. Blimey. It really is. God. Meant to be snow as well. Exciting. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you wish to support my channel, then by all means you can buy me a beer. YouTube have demonetized my channel because I talk about stuff like this and I don't like it. There's some hipster in California YouTube watching this right now thinking, oh, racist. Oh my God. Where's my safe space? That's what happens. It's quite funny. It really is funny, winding these people up. So if you wish to support me and actively support free speech, then by all means you can buy me a beer. And for those who have already, thank you very much. So until my next video, please comment, share, subscribe, and Roger Trout.